Well, hey, everybody. Happy Sunday morning. Getting ready to record Mike in the Midwest, our mini podcast for the patrons. So if you're here, just hang out and we'll talk here for 30 minutes. Let's do this. Here we go. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 215 of Mike in the Midwest, our mini podcast for the amazing patrons just like you of the Be Our Guest podcast. Of course, my name is Mike Rallman, host of the Be Our Guest podcast. You can find me at Be Our Guest Mike on all the socials, Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. This is, of course, episode 215 of the show, recorded on Sunday, September 8th, 2024. Hope this show finds you well wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much, as always, for being a patron of the Be Our Guest podcast. We appreciate you so very much. You allow us to keep the Be Our Guest podcast rolling, and we're having a good time with the show. Hope you enjoyed Friday's podcast of being trapped in the Crescent Lake area. So what would you do if you could not leave that little area surrounding the boardwalk, the beach club, the yacht club, the Swan and the Dolphin? Maybe you could venture over to Fantasia Gardens to play some putt-putt. But I mean, I'm telling you what, if you could not leave that area, you would be absolutely fine. If you could stay in one of those 5 hotels, just have to dine there. I mean, think about, there's a lot of places. Blue Zoo, there's the Fountain. We don't talk about those places. That the New Mexican place over at the Swan and the Dolphin that I haven't even been to, that everybody raves about over in the clubhouse. I have got to get there. The pictures from that restaurant look amazing. The guacamole alone is going to get me over there. The pools, this little triumvirate of hotels, the Swan, the beach club, the yacht club, and the boardwalk have the best pools. They have Stormalong Bay, and they have the, what's it called, the Keister Coaster now, that great slide there that used to have the clown that spat you out, and the pool bar that looks like a carousel. What a great set of pools over there as feature pools at the boardwalk, the yacht, and the beach. You have restaurants like Yachtsman Steakhouse, Ale and Compass. Then you have casual places like Beaches and Cream. And you got, I mean, just think about it. Flying Fish. You got Abracadabar for entertainment. It goes on and on. And Trattoria Al Forno's over there. You got entertainment like Jelly Rolls, Atlantic Dance Hall when it's open. It's just a great place to stroll. Screen Door's a great place to shop. You got the Skyliner if you want to take a free ride. I mean, it really does have it all. So hope you enjoyed Friday's show. I mean, really, you could make a day or two out of just the boardwalk area. It really is. I think we talked about this on the clubhouse. It's the essence of those old VHS tapes. And I think I'm older than some of our listeners at this point, which kind of makes me super sad because we've been doing the show. It'll be 17 years this spring. But some of us are of the same generation of Disney fans that I come from, that every year, I think we were on the same mailing list from Disney where you would get in the mail the VHS tape, right? The planning video. And then after that, it was a DVD. And it was like a highlight, right? Because we didn't have the social media the way we do now, where everything was immediate and you got always content constantly, like podcasts and, I mean, bloggers and vloggers and stuff like that, where that was your Disney fix, was the video that you got on the VHS tape or the DVD. And a lot of the footage would be similar, if not the same, every year. Sometimes it would change it up. But one of my favorite things to see on that VHS video was the boardwalk area. They would always show that shot across the water of Crescent Lake, taken from the yacht and the beach club across Crescent Lake. There would always be a friendship boat going across of nighttime at the boardwalk, and you'd see the sign there that says Boardwalk Inn with those white lights. And there'd always be energy, a juggler maybe on the boardwalk, and, people strolling around, and they're, kind of dressed up, of course, because they're going to dinner at Flying Fish, or back in the day, they're going to ESPN Club or what have you. But that was vacation, right? People went down there and made a whole, that was still harkening back even in the 90s to the 70s idea of the vacation kingdom. And that's why I always wanted a vacation there, when I first discovered Walt Disney World, when I was kind of becoming an adult myself with a family, was that I wanted to go there for a week and escape reality, escape, just to get away from everything, was to go down there and have all my meals on Disney property, have all my entertainment, and not just do theme parks, but do water parks, do Disney Quest, play putt putt, escape reality, stay in the bubble. And I think that's what I like so much, was that you could, have a night where if you didn't go to the theme parks, you went to a place back in the day like downtown Disney, eventually Disney Springs. You would have a night that we would set aside to do. We did the boardwalk. That was our boardwalk night. And we had a good time. We'd go over there, we'd get carnival food, we'd shoot some, the basketball carnival games. We would just walk around. We went to ESPN Club and watched a game back in the day. We get ice cream. Used to be Ample Hills. That was a place. Just stuff like that. We went to Jelly Rolls back in the day. Back in the day, we went to Pleasure Island. And so again, it was still kind of like the Vacation Kingdom. So you had those little pockets, and I know that I think that they built the Crescent Lake area with the Swan and the Dolphin, those convention hotels in mind, where the conventioneers could easily walk over and access those kind of nighttime entertainment activities very easily. Smart move by Disney. But I think that those things are still needed, and I hope that they continue to bring those things to us, because I think that our audience enjoys those things. I think that we need more of those things. I think Jelly Rolls and Atlantic Dance Hall need to be open more. I think we would use those more. I mean, I'm not a big dancer anymore. I'm not in my 20s anymore, 30s. I'm not a club person, but I think it is exciting just to have, when you're walking through there, you're staying at the yacht and the beach or the boardwalk, and you're walking around there at night. It's just exciting to have the kinetic energy of at night of people going in and out of those venues, I think. And I wouldn't think it costs too much to run them, as far as you're going to get people going in and out, I would think. I don't know. Again, I'm not a businessman. I'm kind of pie in the sky, but hope you enjoyed the show. But that's kind of my thoughts on Crescent Lake area. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you ever have any ideas for shows, please let me know. You come over to the clubhouse, just drop it in one of the threads, go to the current BOGP channel, just say, hey, Mike, we should do a show on this. And I would love those ideas, because again, you guys are patrons. I know who you are. I want to do a show that you guys like. The show is always about all of us. It's not about me. I always want to do the show because we're a family, right? I want you to enjoy the show. You guys listen to the podcast. You have a stake in it. I want to give you what you like. So let me know what you want to hear. But I do always try to keep in mind what's something you would enjoy. That show, the goal of that one really is basically to take 35 or 40 minutes, and in your mind's eye, kind of picture yourself. Oh, I'm at Ale and Compass now. Oh, for the next 5 minutes, I want to picture my last meal at Beaches and Cream. Oh, I want to picture that one time I went to Stormalong Bay, or Pam talks about Hurricane Hannah's. I want to think about a good drink or a good sandwich I had over at Hurricane Hannah's. Because when she was talking about it, I thought about a good wrap I had at Hurricane Hannah's. They have a really good wrap. Buffalo chicken, spicy, but it's good. So that's kind of our goal with those shows. Not really to give you information, because you probably already know the information. It's to trigger memories, to take you back to those places, whether you're walking the dog or doing the dishes or driving your car. That's it. That's what it does for me when I hear shows like that. I know the information many times, and I know you guys know the information. It's just to trigger those memories that you probably have, and to give you like a virtual getaway there for a few minutes, because I think that's what we all need. Lord knows we need it a lot, especially this time of year. All right, so what are we doing here? What's going on here on the Be Our Guest Podcast Studios? Not a whole lot. We're back in school. Pam's back in school. Mallory's back in school. I'm back just doing what I do. You guys know my life is like Groundhog Day. I do the same thing every day, which we're going to get into here, the main topic, which I think is interesting to get to today's topic. But yeah, things are going well. I have a little bit of a cold. You can kind of hear it in my voice here. Again, it does get back to Pam being back in school. She's in like her third week of school. And of course, as teachers go back to school, they always get the back to school crud. And so, of course, a nice little present is that Pam brought that back home to all of us. So Mallory has a cold now. I have a cold now. So we are all taking Dayquil, and we are all sniffling and sneezing. So that's beautiful. And we went to the Mizzou game last night. So we sat outside all night. So now we're sniffling and sneezing. as we wake up, even worse. So there you go. And I just got in from a 8-mile walk, and then I took Riley on a 2-mile walk. So I've been outside walking for 10 miles this morning, and it got down to 44 this morning here in Missouri. It was glorious. Oh, should I do it? Should I hit the sounder? There you go. I paid for it, so I may as well play it. That's what I was thinking this morning when the sun was coming up. 44 degrees. The fall has arrived in the Midwest, but don't fear. It's going to get hot again tomorrow. So it is short-lived, but it will be here before you know it. The fall is around the corner because we are playing football. Mizzou is 2-0. Our high school team is young, and we're searching for an identity, and we scheduled the first 3 games of the year against the best 3 teams in the state. So we are going to learn who we are in the non-con. And the team we play next week just won their 30th game in a row. They have been undefeated. They're state champions. 30 games in a row, and they're looking to make it 31 next week, and probably will. They're an unbelievable private school, Cardinal Ritter. They're a machine. So, but it's our military and first responders night. So next week you'll see some cool pictures on my social media because we honor our first responders. We honor all military, active and retired, and we bring in the game ball via helicopter. So a helicopter will land on our football field on the 50, drop off the game ball. It's a whole scene. It's pretty sweet. So I'll put that on our social media. It's our favorite night of the year at the H. So it'll be a great night either way until kick. And then we'll see. I mean, miracles happen. And it's amazing because we went undefeated a couple of years ago, but we have 7 guys right now playing for the Mizzou Tigers in the SEC. And when you have that much of your football team move on to the SEC, it's amazing how much talent disappears. But we're regrouping. We're regrouping at the H, and we're still not bad. But our coach wants to play the best in the non-conference, and that's how you get better. You got to play the very best teams in the state. And because the non-conference doesn't count against you for playoffs, but we're taking it the first 2 games. We're not used to this, but say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So we're is that Kelly Clarkson, I think, or whoever that is? I don't know, but we'll keep battling. Conference season starts in a couple weeks. All right, so let's talk about the feedback from last week. Last week, we were talking about chips because it was Labor Day weekend. Doritos, Fritos, Funyuns, all that good stuff. Red Hot Riplets here in St. Louis. Those are a thing. Luther Burden Jr. hawks his Red Hot Riplets around this town. Dennis Keithley, speaking of St. Louis, M-I-Z to Dennis, says it is definitely not the end of barbecue season. It's just getting started with football kicking off. There's going to be more barbecue than ever. I was inspired by the viral video of 2 Brits trying ribs for the first time. So I'm cleaning up my grill today, then taking a slab of ribs for myself. Yes, I saw that video, and I think I shared it in the clubhouse. And I had to show it to my wife immediately. The video that Dennis is speaking of is one of the funniest videos. It's only about a minute long, and I'm pretty sure I put it in the clubhouse. If not, I'll put it in there again. It's hilarious. It's 2 Brits, 2 like young men. They're probably in their 20s. They're here in the States, sitting down. I'm guessing it's like a southern rib place, maybe in Memphis or Texas or somewhere. I don't know. And they're sitting down to ribs for the first time. And they start to like use a like knife and fork to eat the ribs. In this, I guess he's the owner of the establishment or the guy who made the ribs. This African-American gentleman comes over and he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. He's like, easy guys, use your hands. He's like, you use your hands when you eat ribs. And the 2 Brit guys are like super polite. They're, oh, we apologize. We didn't know. And so they turn to each other, they put their fork and knife down, and they pick up the ribs with their hands, and they turn to each other like, this is awesome that we can use our hands to eat meat. And so they start eating them, and then they start describing how good the meat is. Their eyes lighten up, and the terms they use, like how succulent the meat is, and that it's so juicy. The terms they use they use such fancy terms for ribs. Ribs are just dang good. That's all I gotta say. Like they're just rock. You don't have to be fancy and use words like succulent for ribs. Ribs are just perfection. They just rock. I mean, I don't know how to describe them. They're just beautiful. They're just sent from God, and they get all over you. but they're just eating them all perfectly and properly. But it's one of the most funny videos because you can see in their core that they're just like rock. They're so good. They feel so good, but they're trying to be so proper about it. It just kills me. So the video Dennis is talking about is so funny. Anyway, back to Dennis. He says, I can't think of a school lunch without thinking about Fritos or Doritos. I had one of those two every day. I brought lunch to school. Now that I live in Texas, we eat more tortilla chips than anything. We have them with chili, homemade guacamole, queso, and about anything where a chip is called for. Man, I think I need to move to Texas. Sounds good. Thanks for the feedback, Dennis. And MIZ again. Adam says, I fall on the Cool Ranch side of the Doritos debate in most cases, although the nacho cheese do hit the spot. I'm with you there, Adam. I can go for either. I think I am more Cool Ranch, but I could tear up some nacho cheese too. I love Doritos are just good. It's amazing though, because Doritos, Taco Bell, they're owned by each other. And this could not be more true. His next statement: a chip variety that flies under the radar but happens to be my personal favorite is cheddar and sour cream. Whether it's Ruffles, Lay's, or even our local store brand, an open bag is usually empty within minutes if I get my hands on it. Okay, Adam, let me tell a quick story. I gave you another bell because you're exactly right. I have the same lunch every single day, Monday through Friday, because I'm home by myself, right? Because I work from home and the girls are at school. So I am such a creature of habit because like I figure like if I want to maintain my weight or whatever, like if you eat the same thing, you don't have to think about it, right? Because it like if you run the same miles, if you eat the same meals, like you don't have to ever like weigh or anything like that because there's no variable change, right? So things are the same. It's consistent. I'm always about consistency. If you could tell with the show, if you're consistent, you don't have to think a whole lot. So I have a turkey sandwich every day for lunch. It's super easy too. And I just I put turkey and a slab of cheese and I grill it. It's a grilled turkey cheese sandwich I have every day. Plus I have baked the chips and they're always sour cream and cheddar. They rock. They're the Lay's baked, but they're the ruffled kind though. They're not like the plain kind. They have the ridges in them, but they were really hard to find during the pandemic. I don't know if they were where you live. They were like gold to find during the pandemic. You could only find them like some days, and if you found them, we'd scarf up like all the bags. We'd got like 8 or 9 bags at a time at our grocery store because sometimes they wouldn't have them at the grocery store, just have them at Target. But I think they're Ruffles, but they're sour cream and cheddar baked chips, and I don't know what about it. They have something in them that they're like so addicting. You can almost eat the whole bag at once. You got to be careful. I usually eat like a third of the bag for lunch. It's so bad. But Adam, you're exactly right. Trisha, our good friend up in Wisconsin, says, we enjoyed Labor Day in the Dells, riding the original Ducks, a land-to-water vehicle, and lunch at Moose Jaw. Taco pizza for the win. Killing me. Moose Jaw has the best taco pizza. And so does Happy Joe's. And ironically, covered in one of my favorite chips, Nacho Doritos. We are also fans of trying the limited edition flavors of Lay's potato chips, although I don't think I will like the honey butter flavored ones you can currently find in the stores. Honey butter. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to picture that in my mind. Honey butter. I might. I'd definitely try it. I'm telling you what, the hot mustard. Best chip, best Dorito ever. But I might give that a try. Thanks, Trisha. Oh, now you got me craving taco pizza. And finally, Michelle Camber down in South Florida says, love the story of your grandpa on the trombone. Made me smile because my grandpa did the same thing before he passed in 2021. Once he knew his time was limited, he was adamant about learning to play both the drums and the trombone. We got him a drum pad and a kid's trombone, and he had so much fun playing. Isn't that funny? I mean, what are the chances that they both want to learn how to play the trombone? What is it about the trombone and grandpa's? I have no idea why my grandpa wanted to play the trombone. I figured Ms. Davis just had a trombone laying around, and like, because they went to church together, maybe they talked about it, and she's like, well, I have a trombone. Maybe he saw, I don't know. I don't watch musicals, but that one, there's a song called like 76 trombones in the big parade. Isn't that from like a musical? Maybe he saw that one time at like a penny arcade. I don't know. And like he wanted to be the 76 trombone guy. I have no idea. That's one of those things I should have asked him before he passed, because my grandpa was hilarious. Like maybe he was just being ironic. That'd be my grandpa. That'd be me. I would do something like that. So the rest of my family after I die would have no idea why I wanted to learn how to play that instrument, because there's no clue. I would just leave him with that for eternity. That's totally my grandpa. He's messing with me right now. He's been gone for 20 years. He's totally messing with me right now, my podcast. That's my grandpa. Anyway, back to Michelle. Thanks, Grandpa. Up in heaven. You got me again 20 years later. Michelle says, yeah, why a trombone? My dad was a drummer. Why not drums? As far as chips, I love the old school cheese balls in a can when I was a kid. One of my favorite dishes to make for dinner is a taco pie, and I alternate between using ranch Doritos, nacho Doritos, and also lime tortilla chips for the topping. Yum. Now I'm hungry. Oh God, we should. I have not had lunch today, and it's just about lunchtime. And on Sundays we have Jimmy John's. I get a wrap from Jimmy John's. That's my Sunday lunch. That's my treat. But oh, that sounds so good. A taco pie with ranch Doritos, nacho Doritos, or lime tortilla chips. Oh, you're killing me with that. And I know exactly what you're talking about. Those cheese puffs. Now those go back to my grandma on my other side, my mom's mom and dad. When I would go over to their house, they lived around the block from me. So they actually lived closer than my other grandparents that I talk about more, my Rallman grandparents. They lived right around the block. And I would ride over their house a lot of times on my bike and just hang out with them sometimes. And they always had the blue cylinder of those cheese balls. And my grandpa smoked a pipe. That grandpa over there, he smoked a pipe and would just sit like in his chair and watch. They always watched ABC. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I remember this, but like the channel was always on ABC. So it'd be like Laverne and Shirley and stuff like that. And he would eat those things while he smoked his pipe. And I just tear those things up too. Those little cheddar balls out of the blue. Like, I think, were they made by Planters? Like with a peanut guy on them? God, we'd tear those things. Because my grandma bowled. The thing was, that grandma, she bowled at a bowling league. So I would go over and hang out with that grandpa while my grandma was at the bowling alley. And we would just destroy snacks while she was out of the house. I remember one time we made Jiffy Pop, but we didn't. This was before microwaves. At least they didn't have one. So we made the popcorn, the kind that you make on the stove with, it was like a silver little skillet, but it was like a one-time use skillet, right? So like, I guess when you heated it up, the top of the thing was aluminum foil or something, and it expanded as it got hotter and hotter, and the popcorn started popping. Well, it caught on fire because I guess my grandpa didn't know what he was doing. I just remember like we had a flame ball come out of the popcorn in the house, like it was smoke. And when my grandma got home, she was so mad because the house was smoky. And I remember he smoked a pipe. So the house was kind of smoky anyway, but it stunk because it was just, we burned the popcorn to high heaven. It was like Jiffy Pop or something. I just remember grandma was mad. So we're not allowed to make popcorn anymore. We just had to stick with chips. So see, I love when you guys tell these stories because it gives me stories, and I hope these stories inspire you to think back of maybe family times you have with an uncle or an aunt or a grandpa or grandma. That's what these stories are about. I mean, this is, we all have connections. I hope that you get to think about your loved ones the same way that I get to think about mine, because I had a great childhood, and I like to think back on these times. Okay, so today's topic, let's talk about it real quick. I watch sports more than I watch movies or anything else. And you don't have to be a sports fan to get what I'm talking about today. But one of my favorite broadcasters is a guy named Kirk Herbstreit. Now, you may have heard of Kirk Herbstreit or not. Shout out Jason and Veronica. I think they just joined the Patreon the last couple of weeks. They'll understand who this guy is. It has nothing really to do with anything other than what I'm going to talk about today. So he is a broadcaster he used to be a quarterback for Ohio State years and years ago, a college quarterback, but that has nothing to do with today's show. He is currently he does play-by-play for college football, but he's most well known for he's a co-host on College Game Day. which is the big pregame show on Saturday mornings before college football gets going on ESPN. And a couple of things I really admire about this guy. The first thing that is kind of tangential to today's story, not the focus of today's story, but one of the reasons I've really started to admire him over the past 5 years is that he has taken on this role for one of the co-hosts of that show. There's a gentleman on that show. His name is Lee Corso, and he's a former college football coach who is now 89 years old. And he suffered a stroke about 9 or 10 years ago. And he's been on the show for a long time. This is 38th season that he's been with ESPN doing this show. But about 8 or 9 years ago, he suffered a stroke, and he has a hard time with his communication, with speaking. He can still speak, but you can tell he struggles. And sometimes when he is up on the desk and he's trying to communicate his picks or what he's going to express on air about a team's advantage or disadvantage in a matchup, he has to keep it short, right? So he always sits next to Kirk Herbstreit. They always sit next to each other. And Kirk has taken on with Mr. Corso, Coach Corso, this like father-son relationship on air. He always takes care. He will not let any harm come to Coach Corso. And it means a lot to me because, Coach is 89 years old. He's old. And a lot of people on social media call out, like, you gotta, put him out to pasture. Like, he's too old. Like, it's time. Like, he should not be on the air. And I think, let Coach be on air as long as he needs to be. He's deserved that he should stay, because he's the heartbeat of this show. But that's neither here nor there. What I like is that the respect that Kirk Herbstreit gives to Coach Corso, because if you follow him on social media, every Saturday before the show goes on the air, he does a little thing with Coach. Again, the show goes on the air at 9:00 Eastern or 9:00 Central, 9 or early, like 8 or 9. But he will find Coach Corso doing his warm-ups, because he has to do these vocal warm-ups, like, because his face doesn't work really well since the stroke. He has a hard time speaking, so he does these verbal warm-ups, like, with his lips. And what he'll do is he'll sit down with Coach Corso and just ask him, like, what are we going to talk about today on the show? And he has these talks for like 5 minutes behind the scenes with him, and they have this great relationship, and he just takes care of him. There's a genuine love for this guy that, Corso or Kirk Herbstreit's probably about 50 years old, probably about my age. Corso's 89 years old, Coach Corso, but he just loves him. He takes care of him. He will never let harm come to Coach. And I just love that. He's there for him, and you can see it on the set. So if you ever watch College Game Day, I love that he takes the responsibility for Coach. Okay, that's one of the reasons I like him. A second reason, he's a go-getter. He's out there calling games on sometimes Friday nights and Saturday nights. And in between, he does the Saturday morning show. So he flies around a lot, but he also is a family man because he gets back to watch his kid on Friday nights. His kid plays Friday night high school football. So if you ever watch his travels, he always makes sure he gets to fly home. Now, he has the means to do this, so I'm not saying that he like goes out of his way, because he's taken care of. But he makes sure he gets to fly home to see his kid play on Friday nights, which I really appreciate. He doesn't miss out on family time. So that's very cool too, because I would do the same. The biggest thing I want to talk about, though, that's in the news is not Kirk Herbstreit. You see the title of the show? It's Ben Herbstreit. You might be saying, who's Ben? Jason knows who Ben is, because Ben Herbstreit and Riley CoMo are the title of the show today. Ben Herbstreit is Kirk's golden retriever. You might say, why are we talking about his golden retriever? So a couple of years ago, Kirk started taking his golden retriever on the road with him to like a game or two. And, people thought, oh, that's kind of cute. He took his dog with him to a game and took a picture or two with him. And then last year, Kirk took Ben with him on the road with him everywhere, every game, to the playoffs, to the national championship, everywhere. And this year, he's definitely taken him everywhere, to the point where Ben, over the past couple of weeks, he's been on the broadcasts. Like last week when they were on the air live, giving a breakdown of like a situation that has happened during the game in the booth. Kirk Herbstreit standing there giving his talk, right? With Chris Fowler, the other broadcaster, standing in the booth, right? Just giving a sports breakdown of what's happening during the game. His dog, this is a golden retriever. So they're, large dogs, not huge, but large dogs, comes walking right between them, like Riley would be walking up behind me here in the podcast studio. Now remember, this is on ESPN, primetime football game. Think about that for a second. We're in 2024. Like, think about the norms of that, how things have changed. Back in the day, like, could you imagine like a Monday Night Football with like Howard Cosell, like network television? That would never happen. Now, over the past couple of weeks, and especially last week, they kept showing shots of Ben laying behind the set. He takes naps behind the set with Kirk. And so what we have learned over the past like year or so is that Kirk has he has some anxiety issues. And so Ben Herbstreit, the dog, is his way to be comforted and to have his family with him. He said that Ben is his best friend. Ben Herbstreit, his golden retriever, is his best friend. He said that last week. And he said that he can't travel his family with him, but he can travel Ben with him. So Ben goes with him to the hotel. Ben goes with him to the games. Ben's with him in the booth. Yesterday, when they were doing game day, they showed a shot of him. Ben was sitting under his seat, sitting there taking a nap under his seat at the desk. You never knew that as you were watching him on set, but they showed it on Instagram. And I think that's pretty dang cool. Now, there are people that are haters, of course, online that hate this. I don't know why they hate this. People are saying they're kind of over Ben because they're, he keeps all the because they went to Michigan yesterday. The game was at the University of Michigan. And of course, the Michigan PR team gave Ben Herbstreit his own press credential. So he had a press pass and it said like working and it had like a little picture of Ben. He had, his press pass for the sidelines and so forth. And Kirk Herbstreit, of course, tweeted it out because he thinks it's the coolest thing ever, which I think it is too. But there's some people that are hating on this. And I think it is so cool. For one thing, Ben Herbstreit is a 10-year-old dog. And he told us over the past couple of weeks that he had a very aggressive form of cancer over the summer. And in July, he had a couple of surgeries. And it was kind of iffy whether he was going to make it. So he really, really appreciates his time with his dog, especially now, right? Because, dogs don't live forever. And so he's going to enjoy the moments. So this dog flies all over the country because he flies private, right? To all these games. He goes back and forth on these jets. He's going out here, there, and everywhere. I don't know that the dog, he looks like he's well taken care of. I mean, he's, I don't know about dogs and flying. I guess I'm sure he's fine. It's like riding in a car. I'm sure. I don't know. If it's terrible, I don't know that. So don't yell at me because I don't know that. But I mean, I'm sure that he loves being with Kirk. I'm sure the dog and them bond well. But I think it's pretty dang cool that somebody loves his dog and takes care of his dog that much. Because here's the thing. I kind of this has opened my eyes up to my relationship with Riley CoMo. And if you don't know who Riley CoMo is, that's Riley. That's my dog. And that's not even my dog. That's Paige's dog. Because when Paige got Riley, we didn't even know she had a dog. Let me just tell you the background story on Riley. And you've seen her on social media, right? Riley, well, Paige was working. She was a graduate assistant coach for the University of Missouri basketball team, women's basketball team for Mizzou. And she was living in Columbia and she got a dog. We didn't know. And then she came home for Christmas one year and she had a dog and she told us and we're like, oh, that's cool. Well, long story short, she gets this job. She takes off with one of the assistant coaches got hired to be a head basketball coach at the University of Illinois, Chicago. And she asked Paige to be the director of basketball operations up in Chicago. So Paige took that job. And being that she's the director of basketball operations, it's a, I don't know how many hours a week job, 80, 90. She's always in the office. So it's really hard to have a dog. And the fact that she lives in downtown Chicago is not perfect to have a dog either. So we have she was super sad about this, but I sat her down and I said, look, Riley's going to be happier here than there in Chicago. And plus, I work from home and I love Riley too. I was kind of selfish, I'll be honest. So over the past year, Riley has become Kirk Herbstreit said like Riley was, or because Kirk Herbstreit said Ben was like his best friend. I understand where he's coming from, because when you work from home and your loved ones are off at school every day teaching, being a student, and Paige is in Chicago, Riley's always here with me. Like, that's it. Like, we go on walks together. Like, she's always sitting in the office when I'm working. You know, she's always just in arms. You know, we have lunch together. Always, every day when I make my turkey sandwich, I always say she gets her turkey tack. She always gets a slab of turkey. I get it, right? She's there all the time. You see her when I go to Taco Bell. She's always in the back seat. Everywhere we go, like, it's Mike and Riley. It's the Mike and Riley show in the neighborhood or in the Jeep. And I get it. And you have to understand that relationship, especially work from home, that it's pretty strong. And you know, dogs' lives aren't as long as human lives. And I think you got to appreciate those moments more and more every day. And I don't know. I just want to bring that up because I thought I you know, I always want to bring something to Mike in the Midwest every week that maybe touches, it makes you think, right? And it makes you appreciate things. And maybe you're a dog person, maybe you're not. But you know, I've seen people on social media, like, you know, a few people like, I'm so over the Ben Herbstreit thing. And maybe you are, because I mean, not everybody's a dog I'm not a cat person. And I know people are cat people, and I have no problem with cat people. I just, I'm a dog person. Like, you know, I've never had a cat and I'm allergic to cats for one thing. I love Riley because she's my buddy, man. She loves me. She favors me over everybody else, which I get a kick out of. She'll always come to me over Mallory, Pam, anybody, even Paige. Now that just drives Paige crazy. And I don't like that because she's Paige's dog. And she'll always be Paige's dog. I understand that. I'm just taking care of her until Paige gets her back. But she's my buddy. She keeps me sane. If I didn't have Riley in this house and it was just totally silent all day, it'd be a sad place. But she's also my surrogate for Paige because I miss my daughter. She's in Chicago, right? When I see Riley, that's my connection to Paige. And I think with Ben Herbstreit, the dog, I think when he travels with Ben, I think a little bit of that is that he's in touch with his family. And I think that's what dogs do. They're companionship, but they're also surrogates for other things. So I don't know. That's what I was thinking with Kirk Herbstreit, Ben Herbstreit, and my good old Riley CoMo. And you know what CoMo stands for, right? Paige got her in Columbia, Missouri. So I gave her the middle name CoMo. So that's what we got. All right. So if you have any thoughts on today's show, what are your thoughts with this connection? Do you have any connections like that with your pets? Let me know. Patreon.com/BeOurGuest Podcast. Let's air them next week. But until then, we'll have a live call-in show tonight, 7:00 Eastern, 6:00 Central. Scott will be back, and we're going to have a good time. So we need your calls. So let's talk Disney tonight. But until then, let's have a great week. Go love on your pets. Have a good one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.